evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. Welcome to Football and Nonsense. Happy Wednesday to you all. I hope that it has been a very pleasant hump day for you, however you celebrate your midway point of the week. But we are here. It is fan show time. We've got a great episode for you. I have Coach Billy back, the newly announced head coach of the NAL expansion team, the Carolina Cobras. So he will be joining me in probably about 15 minutes. But yes, there has been a lot of discussion and a lot of, where is this person going to end up? And it became officially official as it can be. Earlier this week, I think it was actually yesterday or Monday, that the announcement was made that he will be the head coach of the Carolina Cobras. They better come out to that, I swear. If he doesn't dress like White Goodman, we're going to have some serious problems here. So he'll be coming up quarter after, or about 20 after the hour here. And then after that, Marc Istook was kind enough to take some time out of his busy night last night. We did some chatting, and he will be on the show following the Coach Billy Back segment. So plenty of good stuff here on the fan show. No Butt Fumble Award tonight. There will be one tomorrow. But it was something that I personally dropped the ball on today because I forgot to put up the nominees for vote, and then I realized that I didn't have any nominees because it seems like we may have had a moment in time, a week in the NFL, in the professional world of football, that there was not any butt fumble worthy moments. So I'm gonna take a look back at the week, figure out some nominees, and see what we can get put up there for you guys. There will be a new addition to the list of fan show, though. I think that's something that we have to do tonight. So we will do that at the end of the show. I know it's something that you guys all look forward to. So without further ado or any more delay, let's go ahead and get to those headlines. And the headlines are that Jimmy Garoppolo will start again this week against the Houston Texans. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? James LeBreton and I had a fantastic segment on last night's show, and even Marc Istook and I talk a little bit about the Jimmy G acquisition, the future for the 49ers, and his performance this last week against the Chicago Bears. We talked Dallas Cowboys and so many other things, so it's a fun bit there, but I don't think there was any doubt that Jimmy was going to get the start from the time that he went out there for the last 30 seconds against Seattle for the rest of the season. It was just a matter of when he was going to get his start. And like James and I discussed last night, it's not anything against C.J. Beathard. If anything, I'd like him to remain the backup for the 49ers because he is also a young talent. Now, you don't want to have a guy hang around for so long that you feel like his best years were wasted being a backup. And that's what I think a lot of people felt they were concerned with when it came to Jimmy Garoppolo. What they may have been concerned with when it came to Aaron Rodgers or Matt Hasselbeck. But nonetheless, they got their starts. They went on to do great things. So for C.J. Beathard, I'm not saying that he's going to fall into that category. There's still a lot that we have yet to see from this young man being a rookie. But I think that it's something that because he played, he won a game, he got the 49ers their first win against the Giants, he showed signs of good football playing, maybe even great, and for him to stay with the system that he was drafted into and knows with Shanahan and the rest, it would probably be very valuable for the 49ers to have that kind of investment and insurance policy in the quarterback position. My thoughts on that. Let's see. In other news, the suspensions have been dished out. Let's go ahead and see if we can get some official word. We talked last night about how Gronk did, in fact, receive a one-game suspension. Marc Istook and I talk about if that was enough, if that was fair, unfair, what have you. But I think he deserved more than a one-game suspension because he he gave a guy a concussion, but you can't have what happened after what it is that happened be of any kind of factor. But it was after the whistle. It was well after the play was dead. It was, my feeling, premeditated. So I would have slapped him with at least 2-3 games, maybe even the rest of the season. That's a very, very tough call. An update on linebacker Ryan Shazier for the Steelers. Ryan has returned to Pittsburgh and is now receiving medical attention at the UPMC facility. He will continue tests and evaluation before his medical team provides any further updates on his condition. We again want to thank the doctors and staff at UC Health's University of Cincinnati Medical Center for the excellent care that Ryan received while at that facility. And that was a statement from Steelers Director of Communications, Burt Lawton. And we certainly wish him the best. Phenomenal defensive player. Scary, scary stuff. I swear it really was. Bengals have placed first-round pick John Ross on injured reserve with a shoulder injury. Of course, John Ross, the product from Washington, is a Husky. I had high hopes for him. I wish that he would have been a bit more impactful, especially on a team that had, well, when the season started, A.J. Green, and then they had Tyler Kroft and Tyler Eifert and a great backfield, but it just didn't work out that way. So we'll see what happens with him, if he's going to remain a Bengal or not. Other news here. Let's see here. Coach Harbaugh said the team opened their meeting today with a group prayer for Steelers linebacker Ryan Shazier. So clearly it's something that, as much as these teams might hate each other, and they do, they really do, they do still respect one another when it comes to the severity of things. Washington Redskins tight end Jordan Reed will not play Sunday versus the Chargers. Those of you that have any fantasy investment in that. ACLU honors Colin Kaepernick with the Courageous Advocate Award. I don't really have anything more to add to that. He's getting more attention and becoming more off the field than he ever would have on the field. Plain and simple. Like, he was on the cover of ESPN's the magazine, the Body Edition, right? He was the next big thing. He was the hot hand, as Harbaugh called him. Won an NFC championship game, went back to a second one, and was in a Super Bowl in his early career, right? I think his second and third year when those happened. His rookie year, he sat behind Alex Smith. But even winning a Super Bowl, winning an MVP, I feel pale in comparison to what it is that he is representing and what he's doing off the field. Now, I don't like how the whole thing started. I really don't. I'm not a fan of it. But if he is actually going to stick to what it is that he started, then I applaud that. I say that, at a certain point, you've crossed, are you doing this for attention or are you doing this for purpose? And I think he's crossed that line into doing this for purpose. So good on him. Whatever you think about him, I don't agree with all of the things that he has to say. I really don't. And I think that his girlfriend has way too much influence in his life, especially in regards to this part. But if you're trying to do something genuine and be real, then by all means go ahead and do it. So that's Colin Kaepernick. Instead of a suspension for one game, Bengals safety George Iloka will be fined $36,000. I don't know if I agree with that. I know that Antonio Brown bounced right back up, but again, we're talking about the action and what took place after the action. So if Gronk is only going to get one game suspension because the concussion happened after the fact, right? We're looking at the incident itself, not any sort of aftershocks or repercussions of it. But if Antonio Brown's going to pop right back up after he gets a hit like that and it goes from a one-game suspension down to a fine, then maybe Gronk's should go from a one-game suspension to a 3, 4, or 5. That's my thoughts. And the hardest thing is a player's likability. Marc Istook and I talk about this as well. So there's a lot to be taken from the 20 minutes that him and I converse coming up later on the show. But that pretty much does it for your headlines. Thoughts, prayers, good vibes out to the people of California, specifically the Los Angeles area. If you've seen the photos or videos, it looks like something straight out of an end of the world movie. Not kidding. And it happens to be in Hollywood. But man, the photos and videos really, I don't feel probably do what those people are actually witnessing down there. But being up here in Washington and having been smoked out like the last 2 summers, where you are encouraged to not leave your home, to not go outside unless you're wearing some kind of protective breathing thing. It's one of those, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. And it's bad in LA. It's been bad up here in Washington. It was bad in Montana. So we feel you, we feel your pain. It is crazy to me to think that a place that is all skyscrapers and buildings and industrial, places like that is up in flames, but it's brush hillside fire and it's making its way to the city. So we'll see what happens with that. I think that pretty much does it. It's a slow day. It was, and I apologize that I don't have more for you on the front of headlines. We can check out with the NHL standings. I know that my Vegas Golden Knights still looking good. That's right. So let's go ahead and take it from the top with the divisions. The Eastern Division, the New Jersey Devils lead it right now. 16-7 is their record. And then in the Atlantic Conference, Tampa Bay Lightning, 19-6. Western Division, we have the Predators, 18-7. The LA Kings, 18-8. And second place, the Vegas Golden Knights at 17-9 to the Los Angeles Kings. That's going to be a really tough division. My St. Louis Blues, though, they have dropped from second place in their division to third with a record of 18-8. So there's a lot of good hockey teams out there right now. There's been a lot of really good hockey played, and I'm very excited about it. The games that I've been able to catch, I was very excited about. I'm still picking up on some of the rules and everything and gameplay itself. But other than that, the experience has been fantastic. A big thank you to Coach Dixie Wooten for being on the show last night and getting the IFL hype train started. He's a big fan of the show. And, it was kind of one of those things, one of those moments where I stop and ask myself, is what I'm doing like just ridiculous? Like, is football and nonsense? Like, should I drop it and just be the fan show or whatever? Like, is it something that people take serious or at least get excited about or at least know what I'm trying to do? And he's one of those guys that I think truly believes, that he gets it and he knows what I'm trying to do. So I appreciate the kind words that he said last night from Coach Dixie Wooten. I'm still waiting to hear if the IFL or, for that matter, the NAL or CIF picks up myself and or the show in an official capacity because, there's a lot of places out there that try to do coverage outside of the official, the Indoor Football League website, homepage, and Facebook and Twitter. So anything outside of something that's run by the league, there's a lot of people that will try to, play their hand at doing coverage, but I don't really think that anybody does it the way that I do it. And I think for a lot of people, that's what stands out to them is that I do it different. I do it better. And I bring real attention to this sport and the incredible athletes that are a part of it. So with that, we are at quarter after the hour. I'm going to go fetch Coach Billy back. We're going to talk to the new head coach of the Carolina Cobras, so don't go anywhere. We've got more of the Fan Show after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw. That Scott hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns, 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten.
You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? Just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how does a puddle right outside the house? Are you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. Here, listen to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ficarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellects, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial, or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing, 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing, 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I am back alone. No Coach Billy back right now. He actually just texted me to see if he could come on probably in about 20 minutes. So that's perfect amount of time for the Marc Istook segment. So I apologize to those of you that tuned in specifically to hear from Coach Billy back. He is coming up in about 20 minutes, so don't go anywhere. He'll be up right after this, but we'll go ahead and play that Marc Istook segment that we recorded last night. Enjoy. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back for another round of football and nonsense. It is one of my favorites, Mr. Marc Istook. How you doing this evening?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. The Jimmy G era is in full swing, and I could not be more thrilled. We're the happiest 2-10 fan base you'll find ever.
Well, maybe it's a belated birthday present for you, right?
Well, yeah, you know, the beauty of being a December birthday is that with the exception of hopefully an unlikely bye week, I'm guaranteed to get a game at some point around my birthday. And, you know, I get one every so often on my birthday, which is great. And when they win, that's even better. So I'll take it.
I'm sure you will, especially at this point in the season, especially with the guy who was quarterbacking for you on Sunday.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo has been, it was the biggest surprise of the season, at least if you asked me to look back on 2017 so far, and I think it's a positive. I talked about it on the first episode this week with one of the analysts for the 49ers, Niner Noise and 49ers Web Zone, who said, you know, it's a step in the right direction, and a lot of talk was about Kirk Cousins, but I think that this is the longer-term benefit of having a younger guy that's already kind of won over your locker room and looks very promising. So I hope we go Garoppolo instead of Cousins like the original plan seemed to be.
Well, Kirk Cousins is going to cost you a lot of money. I think that's the concern. And personally, I'm somebody who's a proponent of, look, if you want to shell out money for great quarterbacking, that's one thing. But you got to know what you have in your system. And look, not to take anything away from Kirk Cousins, but he, given the franchise tag, I think he has kind of driven the market up for his services relative to what you are likely going to pay a Jimmy Garoppolo, and you have a chance to really he's just a little bit of an unknown quantity, and that's why I think it was good to get him on the field, is now you've seen him with some game action, in a Niners uniform and gotten a chance to really start evaluating him at the end of the season. And I think it's yet another in a series of impressive moves by John Lynch and the Niners front office.
Yeah, and teams are only going to have, more time to study him as each week goes by, but you couldn't have asked for a tougher initial test for him with a new team than the defenses that he has faced and is going to. Yeah, he was only out there for the last 30 seconds against Seattle, but he threw a touchdown, and then Chicago has been a very tough defense all season. Up next is Houston, and then even Tennessee can be a pretty stout defense. So they'll finish with, the Jaguars and then the Rams, but it'll be a true test to see if the 3 sample sizes that we've got are enough to base what the long-term could be for Jimmy G in SF.
The big thing for me is that he looked like he belonged out there. You didn't see a guy who looked like the stage was too big for him. And to be honest, there were a lot of times, Matt Castle started the games he did there, whatever it was, 15 games for them in place of the injured Tom Brady. And you've seen him since sometimes look lost, befuddled. Certainly when he played for Dallas, it looked that way a couple seasons ago, and Jimmy G just looked the part, and that's the question mark always when you got a guy that spent that much time on the bench, is can he put everything he's learned in the film room and on the practice field, can he put it on display in a game that matters? Yeah,
and I think he's done that very well. He seems to have a great rapport, and for him to approach Shanahan and say, let's forget about the playbook this week and how do we beat these guys, I think is a great, it definitely was a surprise to me, but I think that's a great sign of leadership and something that I personally as a coach would want to have in one of the most important roles on my team.
Oh, no question. So, look, people are optimistic. I think it's worth pumping the brakes given the volume of snaps and that we've seen a game, but I certainly think if you're a Niners fan, look, that game could have gone terribly. You could have had a Nathan Peterman situation out there, and it didn't. You got a W. You would like to see some touchdowns. You'd like to see some stuff go differently, but you've got some stuff you feel like you can build on. And, again, at this point of the year, given how things have gone, optimism is a commodity.
Yeah, and optimism's good to have. I'm not saying 49ers Super Bowl, 2018, but at least right now it looks, for the most part, that the absolute worst is behind us. And with Shanahan and Lynch locked in for what we hope is the full term of their contract being 6 years, and now Jimmy Garoppolo, who knows what this team can do. They've been sort of the sneaky front office favorites as far as what they've been able to do in such a short amount of time. And speaking of front office and coaches, I had your other half from NFL Blitz on last week. She's concerned about you as a Cowboys fan because Jason Garrett is still your head coach. How do you feel about him still being with the team beyond this year?
I don't get the sense that Jerry Jones is ready to make a move. But personally, as a Cowboys fan, a question that I've asked is, when have you watched a Cowboys game and thought, man, this is a really disciplined, well-coached football team? Or when have you looked at a Cowboys game plan and thought, boy, they really schemed this opponent well? I mean, top to bottom, not just a defensive game plan, because I think Rodman Marinelli does a good job with that. But when have you watched them and thought, from an offensive perspective, they didn't do anything other than just basic football 101, run the football, control the clock and the time of possession, and they've been able to do that with the weapons they've had. But it's kind of like Marv Lewis and the Bengals. Sometimes you win because of the weapons you have, not because of your coaching, but in spite of it. And I think you saw Bengals teams for a while play well because they were loaded with good players, but it's not like you watched the Bengals and thought, yeah, this is a disciplined team that's going to make a deep run into the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's something we've talked about on the show all season. When Aaron Rodgers got hurt, who has made who? Was it McCarthy? Has he been bailed out so much by Aaron Rodgers, and that's why he has such an impressive resume? Or is Rodgers a product of what McCarthy is really able to do? He just gets dealt the short hand when it comes to who his backup happens to be. But realistically, you look at the Cowboys team, and I don't know that there's much there to really say that, yeah, I think Jason has earned himself another year when he's only had like 2 winning seasons total, and a lot of really questionable calls have been made.
Well, I'm not positive how many other guys would jump at the chance to coach in Dallas with the at least expectation that the front office has of kind of micromanaging the coaches and so that your owner is also your general manager. there are some coaches that would bristle with that. That would not work with Bill Belichick. It did not work terribly well with Bill Parcells, and I think there's some aspect of Jason Garrett as a known guy. He's comfortable that would lead Jerry and company to stick with him. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think this is the answer or the reason you can look at the team's weak performances, but it's easy to say, oh, well, Zeke was out, so that's why they're where they are. That's why they're 6-6.
Yeah, and it was a game that, of course, I talked to Aaron about this before that Thursday night game, and I said both teams need to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive, but in reality, the Redskins need to win it more to prove that they belong in that playoff picture, because they've been in close games with the Saints and Minnesota, the NFC's top two teams right now, and then, of course, they went into Seattle and beat Seattle. I said, without Zeke and with the way that they played against the Chargers, this is a game that this team should win, and they got embarrassed in Dallas. And I don't know what that says about the Redskins or about the Cowboys at this point, but with the Giants letting go of Coach McAdoo, obviously we can start talking about head coaching candidates. So if it was Dallas, obviously there's a few different needs, different teams, different cultures, but if you had to look around the coaching landscape right now, who would you want as your head coach for your Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, gosh. Bill Belichick's untouchable, so that's never going to happen. And Pete Carroll's not going to leave. Sean McVay's not going to leave. At some point, it's also, I think, even less about head coach and also who are the coordinators. Because some head coaches are really hands-on guys. Sean McVay is that way with the offense. In Los Angeles, he's got a great defensive coordinator. Pardon me. Wade Phillips on the defense, so he doesn't have to worry as much about the defense there. I think there's just too many variables, but nobody jumps out at you. I think that would be a realistic option.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the first year that's happened. Of course, we're going to have the Josh McDaniels talk at the end of the season because he's always a name that comes up. But once Shanahan got scooped up by the 49ers last year, it sort of seemed like there was just kind of this grinding halt as far as who was the next up. Now, Pete Carroll, to your argument, has done a phenomenal job up there in Seattle. Even before Russell Wilson, they did have, a few playoff seasons, although one of those was with a losing record for one of the first times that we've seen ever. But he always seems to produce a defensive coordinator as a new head coaching candidate, and then people don't really like Darrell Bevell up here. But I wonder what the Seahawks would look like without Russell Wilson, which is a terrible thing to think, but he has done so much on that field beyond what the play calling is, obviously an MVP candidate, that it kind of makes you wonder every now and then.
Yeah, well, one, I buy into Pete Carroll. I think he's a good coach. I think you can just look at the tone and the style of play that team has had over recent years, and it's obvious that he's got players who know what they're supposed to do and are ready and are prepared, and they're always a hard out. You could probably I feel like you could count on one hand the number of blowouts teams have had against the Seahawks in recent years. They had an inexplicable one last year. Was it the Titans who walked over them, or the Bucks, I think? Yeah. But they're not. It's not a long list.
No.
And what Russell Wilson has done this year has been spectacular. And I think it's going to be hard for him to win the MVP trophy, but he has absolutely been the most valuable player for the Seahawks, especially helping that team compete when they've lost so many guys on defense that are integral parts of the defense.
Now, when it comes to head coaching vacancies and candidates, is the culture of Dallas something that you feel is almost the factor that you have to look at? So if you were to call up a guy from the college level, does he have to be like a Dallas? Does he have to be like a Cowboys kind of guy, so to speak?
I'm not positive how you would characterize a Dallas kind of guy, other than to say that he'd have to be somebody that could work with Jerry Jones and handle the media pressure and attention that comes in Dallas. So you've got a fan base that expects winning, and to be honest, really hasn't had a team that has won consistently and at the highest level in more than 20 years. I mean, you've had a season here or there, and they wasted Tony Romo's time behind center and were never able to really surround him with the weapons on both sides of the football at the same time, where they were going to legitimately challenge for an NFC championship and a Super Bowl title. So the fans there are hungry for a team that's going to be consistently productive on the field, and we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, I think there's so much that goes into it. It kind of baffles the mind of the average fan. But if the time ever does come in Dallas sooner than later, I think that there's going to be such a media circus for that I don't envy the candidates whatsoever, because they're in for such a firestorm. But, looking at the remainder of the schedule and how they played against a divisional opponent, I mean, was that a fluke win on a Thursday night at home, or is this a team that, although it's a long climb and they would need several losses for other teams, could they still make the postseason the way that they played last week?
Oh, I mean, mathematically, but realistically, no. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't remember what the numbers are. The probabilities of them, but I'd have to think it's in the low teens or single digits, just based on what they have to do from winning perspective and who they need to lose. It does help that they play Seattle. It does not help that they lost to the Falcons already. I mean, they've got division games, but that's not what they're fighting for right now. So it would have really helped out if Philadelphia had taken care of business. That did not help the Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles losing to the Seahawks. But I think I think some of the losses during the Zeke suspension were, one, Dak has not played at the level that he's capable of playing at, and you have situations where games get out of hand and they couldn't. This is a team not built to come from behind when you don't have your number one playmaker. I think it's a little premature to say this is all Zeke, because Alfred Morris has a higher yard per carry average this year than Ezekiel Elliott does, and has a longer run this year than Zeke has. He's certainly capable of moving the chains as he did for the Redskins before he came to Dallas. It's just game planning, and I think coaching and execution. It's top to bottom. It's not any one thing.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. The last question that I had for you, especially it being, in the field of media that you are, which is, you guys focus a lot on the game, the entertainment. You guys get to know a lot of these players on a personal level and kind of find out who they are off the field and their personalities. Rob Gronkowski got suspended for a game because of the hit that he put on one of the other players. Gave him a concussion in the game last week, and I've talked so many times on the show about how a player's likability really does matter, as much as we want to think that there's a lot of transparency. But Cam Newton gets roasted constantly because he's not a very likable guy for some of the things that he does when it comes to the media. But yet, you have Russell Wilson, who is a very, very likable guy, and you kind of want to take it easy on him. 1 game suspension in your mind, was it enough? Is it fair, unfair? And how much does likability and a player's personality factor into decisions like this in your mind?
Well, I think the likability that you're describing on some level is related to, the way guys play. So would you say Vontaze Burfict is a really likable player? I mean, Bengals fans would say so, but not for fans of teams he plays against, because he's been fined and suspended before for his play on the field. And so that comes into play when they're deciding about further suspensions and fines. I think with Rob Gronkowski, he plays a style that's likable. He's not known as a dirty player. That all contributes to it, where even guys who aren't fans of the Patriots will be fans of Gronk. So I think there's correlation there, not causality per se. If Rob had been fined, ever increasing amounts and suspended over and over again, the likability factor would start to get chipped away, I think, and that would also affect the suspensions, because he was, it's a prior offense kind of deal.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's something that it's hard to look at once you kind of see an example of it, but I do know that there are a lot of people that like Gronk that aren't even Patriots fans, and when this happened, they were shocked, one, because it was something that he did and not a Vontaze Burfict, although we saw the aftermath of things like that last night. But is there any concern on your guys' end as far as media that this is kind of an epidemic that the NFL is going to have to address either the rest of this season or in the off season?
I think we got to see more of it. I think you have a few isolated incidents that are high profile. You had a game last night, obviously, that was pretty physical. I think we need, but I don't feel like league wide across the 13 weeks we've played so far that we've seen that become an issue. So there's only 3 weeks left in the regular season, and then you're in the playoffs where it will ramp up. You will see that kind of stuff more in the postseason than you will in the regular season. So I don't know that that's been my perception. If anything, I'm more troubled just by the number of high-profile injuries which just happened this year. Richard Sherman and Odell Beckham Jr. and Aaron Rodgers, and you can go down the list.
Yeah, it was crazy. I've never seen a season like it, and it's really there's not a whole lot that you can do. Dalvin Cook, of course, had his rookie year cut short, and I picked him to be Rookie of the Year, but I guess we'll see what the future holds for all of these guys, especially the younger players, who it's very unfortunate we didn't get to see more of them. But, Mark, I thank you so very much again for your time, and you are, of course, the co-host of NFL Blitz and the host of Dream Job, which I'm looking forward to another episode, and hopefully I reach a point in my career that you can have me on there as your guest someday as well.
How about that? All right. Well, thank you for having me as always. I appreciate it, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right. Thanks. You don't work too hard.
I'll try not to.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, and once again, thank you to Marc Istook for being on the show. I really do appreciate when he has the time to come on and talk some football and everything else. So we're going to get Coach Billy back here in just a few minutes, but instead of waiting until the end of the episode, let's go ahead and do it now. We've got a new name, another item to add to the ever-growing list of the F.A.N. show. Shame on you, man. It is something that I have personally been very happy with over the course of this season of the F.A.N. show, and huge Chris Jericho fan, you guys know that, wrestling fan. So I wanted to have something that sort of paid homage to Mr. Y2J, but let's get to it. Mr. Rob Gronkowski. Gronk. Do you know what happens when you be just very uncharacteristic and unlikable, and you take the time to give a dirty, cheap, nasty, unexplainable, unexcusable hit on a defenseless player, giving that player a concussion? Do you know what happens when you just forget to be decent and you decide that you just want to be some kind of badass, and then you get suspended just one game for it? Do you know what happens, Mr. Gronkowski, do you?
You just made the list!
That's right. Rob Gronkowski has landed himself. It was the New England Patriots were the first ones to make the list of F.A.N. show, but he has separated himself from the rest of the team, so you could maybe even say he's a two-timer on the list of F.A.N. show, although I'm not sure that that's even possible. Once you're on the list, you're on the list of F.A.N. show.
You just made the list!
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get Coach Billy back on, and we'll go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We've got more of the F.A.N. show after this. You're listening to The F.A.N. Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The F.A.N. Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Like, Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com, or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and with me is the newly announced head coach of the Carolina Cobras, Coach Billy Back. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. You've been a rather busy man, and that's putting it lightly, but nonetheless, you have found your official home, Carolina. How did your decision process go when narrowing down your options?
Well, it just came down to what was best for our family, not only for me, but for the players. So it was a team decision, but, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I know that you and I have talked last year a lot, and you said that a lot of these guys, if there isn't a whole lot of pay, which there isn't in these leagues, that these guys are just playing for film. Do you feel like the NAL gives you a better opportunity to produce, more competition, therefore better quality film for some of these players as opposed to maybe the IFL or the CIF?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan and supporter of the IFL. I tons of respect for everybody in that league, and a lot of good close friends who, actually I take advice from. So, when it comes to players choosing their places to play, it's mainly the quality of living outside of football. All these leagues, produce film for players. Everybody gets film, no matter where you're playing. But it's what's outside of the game that attracts people. What quality of living is like. Like outside the game, the housing, the meals, the opportunities. When they're not practicing, what's there to do in the community? What's the team nearby? Just the attractions of the team. And for me, without getting into it, I committed to a place and I just didn't get the return of investment, I guess, as I expected at a place, and it just didn't feel good to me. So I looked at what the quality of living was elsewhere, and after stepping down, the opportunity came up, and I had no choice but to take it.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. That's a very respectable perspective to take, and you got to make sure that both ends are not only getting something out of the relationship, but that you're both working equally towards the same goal. So my biggest question for you then was, you're in a new league this year. You're taking a lot of your players with you, which was to be expected. But what poses the biggest challenge for you as a head coach, being the guy in an expansion team its first year in a great football market like Carolina?
Well, you got to win. They won a winner. The last time they had a team in North Carolina, Greensboro, was 2006, 2007 with the Greensboro Revolution. Before that, it was, I want to say, the Prowlers. And I know the Prowlers' opening home game, they lost 103-3. And that's back in the AF2 the Deuce days. And that's something you can't do. It's going to, if you're a fan going to a game and you lose 103-3 in the AFL2, that's kind of a big deal. The Arena AFL is one of the best leagues ever assembled. But you lose 103-3 and then 67-7. Your fans are going to think, "Wow, these guys are horrible. I'm going to go back to them." And so, our goal is to win right away. And like I've been telling people, players don't sign with a team. They don't sign with an owner. They sign with a coach, because the coach is the branch between the owner and the players. And the coach is the one saying, "Hey, come here because this is a good place. Come here because we're going to do this for you here. Come here because we're going to do this for you." And when that coach doesn't feel like those things are going to be met, you don't feel comfortable saying it. And so, me telling guys that, Carolina's a good spot, which I believe 110% it is. The guys come with you, and that's why our guys are coming. And it's just, whether they're signed in different leagues or different teams, once a player's on my team, I consider him one of my guys. And the doors are always open for him. But at the same time, the challenge is going to be, coming into a new league with the AFL rules, the arena rule set, opposed to the indoor game rule set. Where we have a little bit of running game in there. We're not going to be running the ball near as much, and heck, we didn't run it that much anyway. But when we did, we were effective because we had a heck of a running back in Tyler Williams. So it's a high-low game. It's a touchdown, check-down game.
It's actually easier for a quarterback in the arena style than it is the indoor style. You know, and we're just excited to get going.
Who was the one guy in the offseason that you were hoping to scoop up that somebody else snagged before you got the chance to, or maybe there was just something, I guess, location-wise or something else that they were offering that you simply couldn't on your end?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Everybody we're signing. Everybody I want.
Spoken like a true coach.
I mean, there's not a player out there that we want that we're not capable of getting. And that being said, because I'm not saying that to be cocky, I'm saying that because I like the guys who committed to us. You know, not everybody committed to us, but the guys who do, you want guys who want to be with you and where you're at. And the guys who don't want to be with you, then they weren't obviously a good fit for you, whether they're a great player or not. You know, you want guys that want to be on your team. Now, if a guy doesn't want to be on your team, you know, then I'm all for releasing them, letting them go where they want to go, whether they play against you or not, because it's, you know, you can't keep and make somebody play for you if they don't want to. So, you know, when you ask me, you know, what guy I did get, you know, nobody, because everybody we got they wanted to be with us. So don't take that answer as a cocky area. That's not the case. It's just we got guys, you know, we got the guys who want to be in our family and be a part of our team and have fun. We have fun and win, we win. So those guys will be there, and you'll see them dancing in the end zones.
Yeah, I think you guys have a very competitive squad there, especially for an expansion team. And then, of course, you have the defending champion Jacksonville Sharks, the Massachusetts Pirates, who have just announced Amir Ishmael as their head coach, and they have Nick Hague up there as well as you know, along with other rumors of signings that they have yet to announce. But it looks like it could be a very competitive landscape for you guys in the NAL. But, of course, your focus is going to be on your team and making sure that you win. How has the NAL welcomed you? It seems like it's been a pretty warm reception. Was that kind of a selling point for you as far as the makeup of the league and its ownership and everything?
Yeah, I mean, you know, meeting, you know, Rob Storm, you know, is second to none. And, you know, Jeff Boschee, you know, I told him when I was talking to him, I was like, you know, Jeff, not many people like you, you know, and I'm not going to hold that against you because, you know, I take for, you know, my personal experience with people, whether I like them or not. And Jeff Boschee's been first class, straightforward, transparent. And, you know, I like him. You know, he's a guy that, you know, I can laugh at a joke, you know, sincerely, and, you know, he can crack one back, and, you know, he's a guy that, you know, speaks his mind, you know, and Rob Storm as an owner, man, I'll tell you what, he's put my family's mind at ease, you know, conversating with him and just hanging out. I'm looking forward to having an adult beverage with him, you know, this coming Thursday and Friday. I believe his birthday's Friday. So looking to have an adult beverage down there in Jacksonville with him on Friday. So, you know, just the professionalism that they've shown, and, you know, that their contracts for players are transparent. You know, it says, here's what you're going to get, here's what you're going to expect. You know, it's quite a long contract as well, but it's more like a player's manual. You know, what they're doing uniform-wise throughout the league is second to none. I mean, to have all your film be quality film, you know, with equal uniforms. You're not going to have practice jerseys on one team. You're not going to have everybody's going with the same brand this year, which is going to be pretty outstanding when it comes to your quality of film. You know, just the way they've, you know, presented city to city, you know, with the, you know, with the press conferences, and, you know, it's all about, you know, presentation, and the presentation that these men are doing is professional. And it's just like my first comment on the press conference, you know, the night in Greensboro was, wow. I mean, cause I was just sitting there going, wow, this is something, you know, this is really neat. You know, and how they've treated my family, you know, from this whole process has been, you know, awesome. You know, the things they want to do for the players in the league, you know, not just, you know, playing on the field, you know, the full picture of it, you know, their vision of what's next for the NAL was attracted to me. And it kept, you know, playing in my mind, like, you know, this is something I want to be a part of. Now, granted, I love the IFL, you know, the commissioner's a good friend of mine, and there's a lot of coaches in that league that I've looked up to before I met them. You know, after meeting them, you know, they're even better guys. And so, you know, it's just, you know, it's where you're at. You know, I'm in the NAL this year. I'm in the NAL for you know, as long as they'll have me. So, you know, because they came and got me. You know, they showed me they wanted me in this league, and that's what you want. You want to be wanted. You want to be around something that you want to be around, just like we want players that want to be around us. And so, the ownerships, like Massachusetts, Amir up there, he's going to probably get second team best dressed coach again, like he did when he was in the IFL behind me, because he likes to wear them baggy pants, wears them medium/large shirts and them baggy jeans he got from Merry-Go-Round back in 1994. Cross colors. I used to wear those too when I was back in the day. But I told him about it. I said, you start wearing some skinny jeans, so those moms in the stands can look at you. So, but he's working on it. So, he and I spoke quite a bit, and the IFL, the NAL, if you look at the coaches they got in these leagues, it's a chess match that you love to be in. I can't speak much for the other leagues, but I haven't looked at their coaching staffs, but what the IFL has in their league, what the NAL has in this league, the coaching, the quality of coach, James Fuller up in Portland, Maine, they asked me, they said, who would you, not want to see in Portland? What coach in Portland, do you think can beat you? And I was like, whoa, I don't want a coach in there that can beat me, but, James Fuller is one that, he runs a heck of an organization. He's a no BS guy, but he also gets it. He and I had a playoff game a couple of years back where I made a mistake on the 21 man. He was all for helping us out to allow our guy to play, but his owner, who was a complete dick, wouldn't. And it was just like, I had nothing I can do about it, coach. Sorry, but he got it. I'd have done the same thing for him. And he's just a first class dude. Up in Portland, putting together. Got a great quarterback sign in Jonathan F.A.N. He's a technician when it comes to timing and routes and whatnot. Amir, like I said, got a heck of a roster going together. The only person I think New Jersey has signed is Steven, and he's a heck of a quarterback. So, Gibson and Shia, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a chess match, just like going against Coach Guy and Coach Riggs and Stout Shack and all those guys in the IFL. Coach Williams and Dixie. It's just the quality of coaches. It just makes you have that want to win and want to compete. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I am too. It seems like it's a great makeup, very competitive. Amir and his one size too small tight shirts, I think will be a great competition for you guys there in the NAL.
Let's be serious. If we had muscles like that, we wear those shirts too. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of carrying a dad bod. I look good from like the mid waist up. I got a minute or two around the waist, so I got to suck it in a little bit. But Amir's just chiseled. Probably from being on that slam ball back in the day. Jumping up and dunking there. He got dunked on pretty good. I'm gonna post that video on Massachusetts page, I think, when I get off there, just to show that he's been dunked on before. So, but no, yeah, he's put together.
As far as the rest of the league, is there any more word on the Albany team or Monterey? I know those are big question marks right now.
No, from what I understand is Monterey. I keep hearing Monterey's in. Which would be, a great thing for Monterey to be in, to play there, to come play us. They put together a good team. Albany, I'm not sure, who knows what the AFL is going to do. With Cleveland shutting down, there's rumors other teams are shutting down. There's talk teams has contacted the NAL. But that CBA, it doesn't get met, there ain't going to be a season. So I'm sure those teams that aren't NHL, NBA owned are going to have to scramble to find a place to play. I know a pretty good league they can join right away. So who knows what that is. I hear the schedule's coming out by the end of the week, if not first of next. I hear it's 99% done, with that 1% being whether Monterey is in or not. But they keep those things themselves. They don't want us little guys to know what the big picture is. But that's their jobs. That's for the big wigs up top of the NAL to figure out. We just got to figure out what play to run on first down. So it's easier for us.
What was the deciding factor for a team to be in Maine? Because geographically, I'm picturing the U.S. map in my head, and I'm thinking back to the IFL when this last season, you didn't have Tri-Cities or Billings, so Spokane was up on that, theoretical island all by itself, and you guys had that travel. This doesn't seem like it's the easiest place to travel to, but I'm assuming you guys worked out the logistics of that?
Have you had that lobster up there? Why wouldn't you put a team in Maine? The city. Coach Fuller's going to have his hands full recruiting in the wintertime, but come springtime, hell, he can recruit me. I'll go up there. That's the city itself is just. It's just got a lot of history and culture behind it. Plus I think those fans up there are just eager for something exciting to happen. 6,400 seat arena. If they pack that place, that thing's going to be louder than Marion, Ohio, when the Marion Mayhem played in the CIFL. That place was back in Stanley Jackson's days. And so, it's an hour and a half away from the Boston team. So it's a close rivalry with them. It's not too far from Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. We can just branch the gap between Lehigh and Greensboro. It just makes more sense. Philadelphia, Albany. There's a team worth a damn in Richmond. Put them in the league. But there's just so many possibilities. Going from north to south. With Orlando being in for next year, and talks of who knows about Tampa Bay, and branching towards the Midwest. It could be a takeover. For what they're doing and how they're doing it, they're not just allowing anybody in the league, and they're I guess ways of getting in is kind of strict, which is good because you don't want the credit card millionaires, owning a team that's going to bounce out and not pay bills and come to bite you in the butt the next year when you hire somebody and can't fulfill promises. So it's just I think it's a great move for Portland, Maine. The helmets are unbelievable. Those helmets are sweet. The Portland, Maine, the Maine Mammoths, the Tusk coming forward. It kind of has that Florida State look to it. I'm anxious to see it live, and as long as they don't beat us, I'm excited to play them.
Yeah, it looked like a cross between the Florida State and, of course, the LA Rams helmets as far as the concept there goes. So, yeah, I like them too. I like your guys's, and the Pirates. I think they're all great color schemes and everything. And
ours
yours is second to none, right?
When he brought that thing out, I was like, holy man, I tried it on, and again, you have to try it on sometimes. You realize it just doesn't fit you anymore. It doesn't look good on you. I tried it on, and it felt right, but my wife said it doesn't look good on you, so take that off. So, but to have those chrome, it's called, I think, polished chrome is the name of the helmet. Let's look at a rim, a polished chrome rim. That's what the helmet is, and getting 42 brand new Redell Speed helmets in polished chrome with blackout inside and blackout face masks. It's going to look good on a lot of players. I'm not trying to throw a recruiting pitch out there, but you look good, you feel good, you play good, you win. And I can't wait to see them uniforms. They're going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, a lot of unveiling left for the NAL. I think it's a very exciting season for you guys, but I'm telling you, and I know that a lot of people are in the same boat with me on this, that if you don't come out at least one home game looking like White Goodman in your Cobra gear, it doesn't have to be purple. You can wear your actual Carolina Cobra colors, but you guys have got to do some sort of tribute to dodgeball this season. You got to make it happen.
I think we're going to probably come out that entrance. We might come out with the Cobra dance to do that. And if the fan show pays my fine, I'll wear what he wears in black and silver. And I'll even have my goatee. I'll have that dirt hillbilly stash, that NASCAR stash he's got. I'll wear it the first game and just call it Mustache Monday or something. And my hair can't grow like that anymore, but I'll still try to get the Zach Morris cut and do it that way. But I'm going to try. I had a buddy of mine there in Cincinnati, Frank Straub, who posted it on my page, and he said I had to do it, which, it is what it is. I think I'm going to have some Cobra Kai retro shirts made from my buddies back here that do apparel. So we'll see what we do. We'll play it off good. We're all about having fun. That's no doubt.
All right, well, Coach, I wish you all the best in your inaugural season and taking over for a expansion team in Carolina. I think you are going to have one of the best squads in the league, and it should make for a very entertaining and competitive season. So we'll talk more as the season gets closer and closer, and I've got some trips to plan, and yours is one of the first stops that I intend to make. So I will talk to you more about that.
Wait. I think it's going to be the first stop because you big leagued us last year. You didn't come to any of our games last year, passing out that little chrome belt to everybody but the MVP. You know what I mean? You gave it to all the runners up, but you didn't give it to the real MVP. So I think Greensboro North Carolina needs to be the number one stop because it is the cheapest hub to fly into in the country. So you start saving up them pennies and dimes right now, and get out there first. I'll put you in a nice hotel room. We'll get you a Super 8 with that hot bracket. Better yet, I'll put you in a microtel. How's that?
Sounds good to me. All right, first stop. All right. Well, we'll see when the schedule comes out. We'll make it happen. But I'm excited. Coach, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night, all right? Take care.
You too. Go Cobras.
That is Coach Billy Back. Very excited for his Carolina Cobras. Oh, if they fine him for doing that, yeah, I'll pay it. Why not? It'd be well worth it. I don't even know how much they fine in leagues like that, but whatever. Great conversation. We went a little over tonight. Well worth it, though, so thank you very much. Marc Istook, Coach Billy Back. It was such a great time. Always fun here on the Fan Show. So I've got some trips to plan. I've got some money to raise. You can go to teespring.com/thefanshow, the official store of Fan Show apparel. Every purchase you make goes towards my trip fund for the second Fan Show Tour. Fan Show Tour 2018. Going to try to make it happen bigger and better than ever. But, of course, you guys know where to find me. Twitter, Facebook, thefanshow.com, your home base for all things football and nonsense. So I'll spare you the details and remind you one more time to visit my good friends at undisputedbelts.com for your fantasy football championship belt or ring needs. That's right. They've got a series of rings out there that look spectacular. So you're going to have a winner. You're going to crown a champion. You might as well let them be undisputed. And that's all the time we got. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners. And remember, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.